Hi everyone, Kate Boorer and Fiona Pearman joining you for this week's Facebook Live. We're going to dig into a conversation around playing it safe and small, something we talk a lot about in the Acts of Confidence program. And I think in my experience, often at an unconscious level, we know that something's going on for us. Maybe there's an opportunity, a project, something that you've heard about that you want to get involved in. And then there's this contraction and nervousness around what would happen if I did say yes to that, and we pull back.
Yeah, I think what's really interesting here, if you suspect maybe you're playing it safe and small, is to start to notice some of the things that are going on. We often hear people say they're a bit frustrated where they're at. They haven't really, got anything very engaging at work. It's a bit boring. And they're thinking about what could be different and what they'd like to change, but they feel sort of nervous and uncertain. And perhaps, you've already had a bad experience. Maybe you did take a chance. Maybe you stepped out of your comfort zone early in your career and things didn't go so well. Maybe you failed at something or you disappointed some people. And so you've kind of got this residual experience that means you're not likely to take a chance again.
Yeah, I think an important piece is self-awareness, right? In my experience, we know when we are learning and growing, and in my experience, thriving, and we know when we're stagnating. And ignoring that, not paying attention to that, not doing something about that, has big consequences, right? It impacts our career progression. It impacts the contribution we can make in the organization that we're in, the societies we're part of. I know in my personal experience has really impacted how engaged and motivated I've been, the sort of leader I've shown up in, and just the opportunities that I've created for myself. And I think in most circumstances, we are aware. And if we're not aware, I think the opportunity is to slow down a little bit. I was doing a session last night on career planning, and I made a comment around how often career planning is something we only go to when things are going badly. And that's not a good strategy, right? We want to be able to stay in the conversation. We want to be able to constantly revisit where we're at, where we're heading, what is it that we need to coach ourselves, be our own best coach around that conversation. But I think that's a really good strategy pathway tool to be able to combat what's going on when we are in this perpetuating dynamic that I think plays out for lots of people. Because I think in our experience, there's a couple of things, right, that really talks to our work in the Acts of Confidence program that are playing out when you're willing to really get beneath the surface.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of pieces here that it's worth digging into and understanding. And if you're noticing, that career stagnating, that you're not contributing in a way that feels meaningful to you, potentially you're not feeling as though you're learning anything, there's no growth in what you're doing. All of those are great signals to dig a bit deeper and to start to understand what's going on. Because what we know is once we're willing to raise awareness, once we're willing to face into this, and very often it's fear sitting below the surface. There's a whole lot of fears or ideas or stories we have that mean it feels too risky to do something different. But what we know is if you don't do something different, the status quo is going to only be worse and worse over time.
Yeah, I think the other thing that is often playing out that I've seen with so many of our clients is they're not clear about what it is that they want. Right? They haven't invested the time in the career planning conversation, understanding their values, their strengths. And so there is no leverage, right? There is no tension or benefit, right, of making a change. All I know is that maybe things aren't great now, but I don't know. No, I'm confused. I don't know what else it is that I want or what else it is that I could do. And so in that vortex, it's like, well, I'm just kind of stuck. In our experience, a lack of clarity will keep you stuck for years because you're unclear about what it is that you want, and you're unclear about the opportunity that that will bring you. Why making a change? Why moving away from your current situation? What that could bring. And we see this time and time again where I'm going to say women tolerate the status quo a disengaged role, a role where they're not growing and learning, a culture or a leader who is not respectful, tolerate it for far too long because they haven't figured out what it is that where they want to go and what they want to do. There's nothing better to move to. And so in the absence of that, we just stand still.
Yeah. And it's understandable, right? It's understandable that, we're not going to do something if we're unclear about it. And so this piece around clarity is so fundamental because you've got a choice here. You can stay where you are. Absolutely, everyone's got that choice, right? We can continue in our safe, small little box in this space. And, we kind of know what that's like. There's not a lot of risk there. And we'll tolerate that. But there usually comes a point, particularly for the women in our world, who they know they're capable of more, where that is actually becoming almost intolerable. Like the effort and energy to keep showing up in the safe small box is actually really detracting from their overall life and career experience. And so at this point, the choice is, do I stay with what I know, what's safe and small, or am I prepared to step into some discomfort? Am I prepared to challenge myself and do something that potentially does feel a bit risky, a bit new, something I don't have certainty around, but I'm willing to give it a go because I know that where I am now is not going to be fulfilling and not what I want.
Yeah, I think really being able to step back and figure out where is it that I want to go, and what would stop me going there, right? What are the risks? What are the fears? Digging beneath the surface. Those two things combined, in our experience, is what will every time catalyze change. It may not catalyze it today. It may be in 6 months, maybe 12 months' time. But it will support women to transition into the space and place where they can make the biggest impact and really step into their full potential. So our question as we leave you today is, where could you be playing a bigger game? Maybe where is there an area, a context, a dynamic where you feel like you're contracting, that you may be playing small? And what choice, what direction, what's stopping you from playing that bigger one? Team, if you've enjoyed today's Facebook Live, we'd love to hear from you. Of course, we'd love for you to share it with someone in your network if you feel that they would benefit from today's confidence conversation. If you want to see more of our content, head over to our YouTube channel, tons of videos, playlists there for you to dig into, lots of related content to today's conversation. And if and when you're ready to go deeper with your relationship with core confidence, visit our website, coreconfidence.com.au.